getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome to tonight's coverage of Sim Racers Group Formula 3 on SMB. JR Gregory here with you all on the call alongside Dylan Hundy Coyle and tonight's producer, Magic Mike Braun. And for week 7 of this F3 season, we'll cross the Atlantic and set up in Barcelona, Spain. Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia was built in 1991 and hosted the F1 Spanish Grand Prix that year. And along with F1, this track is current host to Grand Prix motorcycle racing, the European Le Mans Series, the 24 Hours of Barcelona, GT World Challenge Europe, and TCR Europe. And today's configuration, 2.8 miles, 4.7 clicks, 13 corners, thankfully omitting that awful final chicane prior to the pit straight. Max's long-standing record was broken this year by Oscar Piastri in that McLaren on their way to the Constructors title, a 115.743. And Dylan, after last week's tire grind at Suzuka, these drivers are going to be facing more of the same. So many of these corners require extreme patience on the exit if you're expecting your tires to go the distance. So what are you looking for out of these competitors tonight?
I mean, it's a track that is surprisingly in cars that are not necessarily as aerodynamic dependent. You can have some really good racing on, right? I don't like that final chicane either at all, JR, so I'm right with you on that. I think it can bog down the competitors, bog down drivers, and it takes the flow out of that final sector. But I think it's going to be a matter of, hey, we've got a dry track. We didn't have a dry track at Barcelona last week in SRG Formula 4 action, and they did have the chicane as well. Could you imagine it being in the wet and having that final chicane?
That is absolutely brutal, and our league administrator, Jason Cotcher, might have been feeling a little sadistic there. But in his defense, I believe that both of these series followed the official schedule, so it was the iRacing gods that unleashed that bit of misfortune on the F4 drivers.
I've got some funny news on that one, JR. Sorry to cut you off, but F4 have decided no more rain the rest of the season. So that was the final straw.
The precipitation rebellion of 2026. Well, that is going to go down in history. But anyway, back to action on the track. We got about 5 minutes remaining in our open qualifying session that has been going on for about 55 minutes. And the usual suspects up at the top, it is Case from Leslie, from newcomer Max Linlato, from Jason Green, from Chris Eggert. That'll get you through the top 5. But pretty good tight grouping up front. You know, I like to look at the 1 second bracket, and right now the top 11 cars covered by just under 9/10 of a second. So pretty good track car combination here, I think, if everybody, as I said, can stay patient out here. And I have got a lot of laps out here, and Dylan, from my perspective, this track really is about patience. Some of these long corners, as we ride along with Linlato right now in one of those early carousels, it just seems like it takes forever, absolutely forever, for the opportunity to open the throttle, which is so critical on these F3 cars. 250 horsepower, so they're not slow, but you still have to get on the power with very good timing to get a good lap time, and that's very, very tall order around here.
Yeah, and you know, this track, it's there's a reason it's used as a testing track as well for Formula One, right? It kind of gives you a good mix of slow corners, fast sweeping corners, gives you those high-speed chicanes, and of course you've got a little bit of elevation changes, especially with that chicane right before getting into the final sector. So it's quite exciting, right? Watching a race here, and these lap times, they aren't too high, they aren't too low, right? 1:33.4 is what we're seeing right now as the best time currently set by Stephen Case. And of course, we've got that heat race, that short sprint race, and then we've got the feature race a little bit after.
Just watching Linlato there, and you know, that is another thing that we should mention about Barcelona. We were watching Linlato kind of flirting with those sausage curbs, and a lot of the track here is outside of the white lines, and you kind of have to press the track limits in places, but in other places you have to observe those track limits, because these F3 cars hitting those yellow sausage curbs can result in disaster. They truly are anti-cut curbs around here, and these drivers are going to want to get nice and cozy with them, but if they get too fresh with those anti-cut curbs, they're going to get slapped.
Yeah, and you know, the curves here compared to the size of this race car, right? That's something else. We talk about Formula One here at Barcelona, but at you know, this track with the size of modern day Formula One cars, even if they are getting smaller in year 2026. Oh, hey, that's this year. These curbs can still get you out. And with how much smaller these F3 vehicles are and how much more nimble they can be, you're dancing a little bit more sometimes on corner exits, especially with the speeds these guys still are traveling at, and with the lack of aerodynamic grip that they get.
Yeah, and to coin a phrase, 100% in agreement with that.
I've done very well. I haven't said it yet. Yet.
qualifying winding down here. Got about 2 minutes left. There certainly are some folks with opportunities to make something happen here. Velasco just put down his fastest lap of the session. That'll put him up into P3 as he pips Lynn Lato. Jose Navas also put down his fastest lap. Chris Wang putting down his fastest lap. So we see this sometimes toward the end of these qualifying sessions. Of course, they're burning fuel, lightening that fuel load. A lot of these drivers have gone in for 1 or 2 fresh sets of tires as the fuel load lightens during this hour-long qualifying session. And we often see folks taking advantage of that and making something happen in the last couple laps, and certainly seeing that now. And oh, by the way, Stephen Case heard me and said, yeah, those guys aren't the only ones who can put down a heater at the end. Case with a new fast lap, 1:33.474, which will put him a comfortable 0.3 almost ahead of Josh Leslie, currently in P2.
Yeah, and Josh Leslie, I'm not really seeing any top sector times being laid down by him so far. We'll have to continue to watch. The last sector 2 was not at all. It was a second behind Stephen Case's sector number 2. So probably we'll look to get back to the stripe, give it one more go here. How many hour-long qualifying sessions do you get in any racing series? There's not many.
You know, I kind of like it. It lets them combine practice and qualifying, and provides a lot of track time. At a track like Barcelona, you can go out here with the draft buddy and pick up a couple of tenths down that pit straight, which I'm sure some of these drivers are doing. And bang, looks like the session has ended. I thought for sure there were a couple cars left on track, but yeah, stay tuned, folks. We're about to jump into the first of 2 races here tonight on Slow Motion Broadcasting. We'll start with a 15-minute heat. That heat will set the grid order for the 25-minute feature with an inverted top 6. And look at Chris Eggert right now sitting in P6, guarding that future pole. We saw him do that last week. We'll see if he can make it happen again here, and he was able to convert that into a podium. But here is your starting grid. It'll be Case lining up next to Josh Leslie in 1 and 2. Alex Velasco will line up next to Max Lynn-Lotto in row 2. Then it's Jason Green next to Chris Eggert in 5 and 6. Danush Proborgi will line up next to Lloyd Conway in row 4. Then Jose Navas next to Tyrone De Silva. Chris Wang next to Kalen Mikovits in 11 and 12. Then it's Borden next to Jason Cotcher. Josh Corwin next to Enrique Vela. That's another new name to me. We have another new participant there in Enrique. Then it's Room Bali next to Jacob Guyton. Adrian Lopez next to Igor Grunsky. Adam Duvall next to David Hirsch. Kulkaran Dillon will line up next to Diego Posada in 23 and 24. And it looks like a couple people holding up the show here, waiting on Velasco, Conway, Navas, but iRacing will force the start here in about 45 seconds if these cars do not show up. But you're taking a look there at Stephen Case in the blue 243 car. He's a nose ahead, but has the outside line into that first corner off the pit straight, turn 1. So he will have to keep an eye on Josh Leslie. People in this series know that if you want to make something happen against Case, it's best to do it early in heavy traffic before he drives away, because he has a tendency to put his foot down, create a gap behind, and drive off from the rest of the field. So Leslie going to be thinking about potentially making a move here into turn 1, and timer, ticking down. We should be seeing some lights here in a moment, and there we are. We're about to be underway as the second half of the Formula 3 Sim Racers Group season gets underway, and bang, we are off. Leslie, pretty good jump there. Case moving over. I thought Leslie might have a crack at something there, got off the line very, very well. Case moving over to cover, though. Case aggressively covering that inside line. Is that going to open it up for Velasco around the outside? It is Velasco next to Leslie. A number of cars here going side by side through turn 1. Going nose to tail as they work their way into this first carousel, but another clean start, another great start as we've come to expect out of these Formula 3 drivers, and we are underway at Barcelona.
Yeah, fun stuff to start it off here right in the first few corners. Leslie right hot on the tail as we exit this first sector right here. Velasco, don't count him out right there, but he goes quite wide. A few more drivers trying to take some passing opportunities as they go under the bridge and up this uphill chicane. Oh man, it's a fast, dangerous chicane to take, even going so low, but when you go too wide through it, my goodness, that's a hairy situation.
Yeah, Barcelona really nonstop thrills, and I gotta say, I have not been really a fan of driving it over the years. I'm a GT3 driver by trade, and not a great track to me for a GT3 car, but this is going to be an outstanding couple of races. These F3 cars always do very well on Formula One tracks, and somewhere here in the first lap, Chris Wang has had some problems. Lloyd Conway as well. Those two drivers a combined 22 positions down. We'll go back and see if we can figure out what happened with that. But as the first lap ends, Case from Leslie, from Velasco, from Lynn Lato, from Green, and Leslie so far doing a good job hanging on to Stephen Case. You can see that slipstream going to work a little bit there. Case unable to open up that interval in the first lap, but we'll be keeping an eye on that. Case usually pretty good at breaking away early on. Have a couple of cars that have moved up pretty well. Corwin up 3, Lopez and Grunsky up 4, Adam Duvall up 3. So we've got some big movers here in both directions. And looks like Eggert and Poborgi off camera dicing a little bit there. Might have had a change of positions, but we're going to watch Kalen Mikovits here off the start. He was able to make something happen. Here is Eggert as well. And oh my gosh, and somewhere we're going to see Chris Wang back there have some kind of problem. Lloyd Conway as well. Yeah, and there is Chris. And is he going to get a little help right here? And nothing so far.
We're on the outside at the moment, which is not really the most preferred line to take. Let's go back a little bit here.
Looking at Wang again off the start in that number 14 Gulf livery car, and Conway had some problems as well. Don't see him at the moment. Oh, Conway started from the pit. Interesting. So he either missed the start or elected to start from the pit and enjoy a target-rich environment there. But in any event, had a couple big droppers there from qualifying. And is that Green trying turn one on the inside of Velasco? Almost makes it stick there. You see Christopher Eggert sniffing around there. Well, Green not giving up here. And Green, one of the higher rated drivers out here in terms of iRating. So he has got the pace. He's got the racecraft. He usually drives pretty calm. Don't see him take a lot of chances, but he is definitely hounding Velasco right now, all over the back end of Velasco like the plastic on grandma's couch, Dylan.
I've heard you say that a few times at this point, and it really is it evokes a visceral reaction from my emotions. I'll tell you that. Yeah, Eggert, you see all of the gravel that has been shot back onto the racetrack, and you'll feel that a little bit in these cars if you go offline, which realistically you should never be offline in that chicane. As way deep on the brakes goes Christopher Eggert. My goodness, you can take this corner in a few different ways, especially with higher powered, higher aerodynamic, more aerodynamic race cars. You can almost go in really deep and try to kind of take that inside line before that switchback goes the other way. Or you can just try and be a little bit patient there, wait until the straightaway to maybe get a little bit closer to set up a move going into turns 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, these high downforce cars a little above my pay grade in terms of driver skill, but you see somebody wait on the brakes like that and gain a bunch of space heading into a corner, and what you have to remember is the car going faster has an aerodynamic advantage. So, if you're driving it GT style and trying to brake smoothly into a corner, these things have a little bit different braking. They lose grip, lose braking power as they decelerate. So if you can brake late, as you saw Eggert do there, you can close up gaps in a hurry, as we saw him do. And up front, my gosh, look at that timing tower. Those white intervals there means that those top couple intervals over a second. So Case has completely dropped Leslie to a second and a half. Leslie dropped Lynn Lotto by over a second, and Lynn Lotto has dropped Velasco as well after getting by him. And Velasco now leading a little train there for P4. It's Velasco from Green, from Eggert, from Danush Poborji, and barely into this one right now as we're looking at Josh Corwin and Varun Bali right there. Those two drivers spent a lot of time together. You see Mikovits hanging around there as well. A little surprised at Mikovitz's qualifying position. He's way up there in the championship, has performed really well, but didn't get a good qualifying here at Barcelona. Looking for him to move up in the heat and again in the future.
I would say definitely if he can manage it, his goal is going to be that 6th place position, right? The gaps between everybody right now, except for that gap between 9th and 8th with Jose Navas chasing Tyrone De Silva, it's within a second. That's a tall task, but we have seen Mikovits have that skill and have that drive to continue to move upwards in the leaderboard throughout each of the previous races. Could he potentially get at least into the top 10? I think it's very possible, but for now he has found himself in a very difficult position. Not only is he down in 13th, but he also lost a position from the start of this race, right? So I don't know if we're going to see him necessarily move up that much. By the way, let's give a shout out real quick for Varun Bali with 6 spots gained in the opening 7 minutes and change the opening 4.5 laps in this race. That's impressive stuff for him.
Yeah, Bali has lit the wick. Looks like he turned in a 1:35.4, so second off of Case at the pointy end, but still getting some work done. And speaking of getting work done, having my eye on Chris Eggert right now. He's sitting in that sweet spot, P6. You saw him attacking and kind of pressing cars ahead, and frankly, that might have just been for practice. I wouldn't at all be surprised to see Eggert settle into this P6, hang on to that P6, turn it into a pole for the feature, and that strategy got him a podium. Last week, he was able to hang in the top 3 drivers as they drove off from the rest of the field, was able to convert that into a podium. So right now, Eggert probably wants to hang. Just as I say that, Eggert's going to attack Green into P1, and whoosh, there it goes. They're still side by side, almost made it stick, and he's going to try, oh my gosh, around the outside of this long corner here. Turn 3, endless carousel, and Eggert still pressing here as they go into turn 4. Side-by-side action since turn 1 here, and Green's going to have the advantage, of course, through this tight downhill turn 5. And see if Eggert continues to try to press here. And gosh, Dylan, I really got to think that Eggert is just kind of practicing right now. I think he wants to hang on to that P6.
Oh, no!
Poborji pressing him for it there, and whoosh, there goes Poborji. There goes Eggert over that sausage curb that I told people to stay away from, and that cost him 2 positions right there. Just a little bit of a bobble. Eggert has fallen out of that sweet spot that he made work to his advantage so well last week.
Did you see exactly what just happened that led to his little adventure, little mishap through those corners? He almost went straight into the rear of, was that Jason Green? Yeah, it was. My goodness, that could have been bad.
Yeah, maybe a little brake check there by Green, but we've seen Eggert kind of over and over again being able to brake a lot deeper. And here is a move. That's Cotcher versus Wang there, and here is the sequence we're talking about. Eggert, we're back to live now, I believe, and that is De Silva pushing his way past Poborji, and now De Silva finds himself in the sweet P6 with about 5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, that's it's a really solid drive from Tyrone De Silva right here. Remember, De Silva was, I believe, that 1.5 second gap we were talking about that has just obviously expanded. Jose Navas was just 1.5 seconds back of him. He was in 8th place. Well, 8th place is now Christopher Eggert, who had that off just a lap ago, and De Silva is still looking to climb up the order, but first he's got to keep this challenge to retake this position, and that is Paborgi. He's really going for it, and I don't think we saw a good bit of quartering right there from Tyrone Da Silva. A little bit off the apex. However, I would like to say Paborgi got a bit spooked there going through that turn 9 right-hand sweeper. Here is turn 10. Look at that, way up there and almost into the gearbox of Da Silva was Paborgi in the 23 machine. Goodness me, great racing.
Yeah, Da Silva definitely driving in his rearview mirror right now. Paborgi is not shy at all. If he sees a sliver of daylight, that F3 car is going to get stuffed in there. Although Da Silva looks like Paborgi might have had a little bit of a bobble there. He's got Eggert behind him. You see Da Silva going wide into the kitty litter right there. And Paborgi running out of time. And here comes Eggert taking advantage of that slipstream down the pit straight. He's going to have the inside run here into turn 1. But as we've seen over and over again, that can turn into having a disadvantage in the next corner. But Eggert this time looks like he's making it stick for now. So now Eggert is going to be pedaling his ass off. He has got 1 second ahead to get back at Tyrone Da Silva with time running out. Only about little over 3 minutes remaining in this one. And see if Eggert can put himself back on pole.
Yeah, and you know, Eggert is doing his best, right? He's definitely putting on a show, and I think the biggest thing for him right now is to try and get to P6, right? If you can get into 6th place, you will be on pole position to start the feature race. That's where the big points are given out. That's where you really need to worry about your positioning here in this race. Stephen Case is well and truly ahead of the field. Josh Leslie almost 3 seconds behind him as Case is about to start his 9th lap of the race with just under 2.5 minutes to go here. Max Lindlato, though, he's really impressing. Once again, he's impressing in the sprint. Will we be able to see him also impress in the feature? That was the thing. We really talked him up last time. And, well, JR, we know what happened, unfortunately. Just not a fortunate race for Lindlato, who jumped the start immediately.
Yeah, Lindlato definitely showed some pace, but showed a little nerves as well at Suzuka as we're looking back from the backside of Tyrone Da Silva, looking back at Eggert, and Eggert reeling him in there. That gap, as you see, 0.3 now. And this may be the penultimate lap right here, depending on when Case crossed the line. Probably is. So Eggert has some time here. He's got 2 laps to work with, a 0.3 gap, and has got Paborgi behind about 0.5. But I know that, as you said, Eggert turned that pole position at Suzuka into a P2, his best finish on the season, and would love nothing more than to push through Da Silva here and put himself on the pole again. Definitely made that work to his advantage.
You know, with just over a minute left, this really is the most intriguing battle of the race so far. Da Silva is ahead, but Christopher Eggert has done an admirable job. And look at that, Da Silva with a little bit of a lockup going into turn 10. It opens the door on the outside, going into turn 12 for Eggert to pounce. He's going to have that inside track. Oh, and he makes a little bit of contact with the right rear, and that might be lights out for Eggert to get into 6th. Oh, man.
Oh my gosh, just that little smooch, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there. Got Eggert loose and sideways, scrubbed off a ton of speed. Paborgi is through. And Eggert's hopes of repeating his pole position from Suzuka completely dashed at this point, barring some kind of disaster. The white flag is out. It is still Case from Leslie, from Lindlato, Velasco Green, and Tyrone Da Silva sitting pretty solidly in that P6. Paborgi sniffing around back there, about 3/10 behind. But we did see Da Silva with a little bit of a bobble as he was overdriving that car, possibly to stay away from Eggert. So Paborgi has a crack at this potentially, but if he's going to make something happen, it's going to require another misstep by Da Silva, and we'll stay with this action, riding along with Paborgi, looking ahead at Da Silva. That gap, little wiggle there coming out of that very slow turn 5 there. Tough tough spot on this track. Poborgi looking at about a 0.6 gap now. So as it is right now, De Silva doing a better job being consistent, avoiding mistakes, and letting that making that gap grow. So it looks like De Silva is going to be your pole sitter, barring some kind of disaster here as the heat finishes. But it's Case from Leslie, Linlato, Velasco, and Green, your top 5. De Silva sitting in the sweet spot in P6 as we watch him come on to the pit straight for the last time in the heat. And as our finishers come across, we're going to have those final results for you in a second. And look at Mikovits all over Bali. He might be in a position to make something happen here. Bali having clawed 7 positions ahead, done a really good job. Adam Duvall as well, up 8. So Duvall going to be our hard charger for the heat race. So we are going to, as we watch our last bit of the field come through, we're going to have a very short break here between races. So time for a bio break, time to hit the fridge. We will review our points with you as well. And we'll get make preparations to get that feature race gridded up here shortly. And just letting you enjoy a little bit of peaceful serenity right there. I'm not sure. Is Dylan there?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're. Oh, nice.
Wait, what pants?
Oh, somebody's wearing my pajama pants there. I don't know how they ended up in Spain, but Mike is already planning to insert that into our next slow motion broadcasting highlight package. So. Let's see. Speaking of championship standings, there they are, and deja vu all over again. And it's Stephen Case with a pretty solid grip, almost 40 points in the lead from Kalen Mikovits, who has put together a great season. He's got a pretty good gap back to Chris Eggert. Then it's Poborgi, Jason Green rounding out the top 5. Then it's Cotcher, Wang, Velasco, Josh Leslie, and Josh Corwin. That will get you to P10, and I'll let you run through the rest of those on your own, and we'll go ahead and in a moment here pull up our team standings. We have 2 driver teams participating in F3 as we did last season. Kind of adds another little extra bragging rights and helps you cheer for some of your competitors that are on the same team. But look at Mikovits and Wang. The first time Stephen Case has not been at the top of that list, and they have a comfortable lead over the L10 racing team featuring Case and Van Wagner. Then it's Egden, that's Chris Eggert and Borden. Jarun Kali, that is Varun Bali and Jason Cotcher. And then in P5, it is La Silva. That's Josh Leslie, Tyrone De Silva. I'll let you run through the rest of those on your own. But tip of the hat to Mikovits, man. I mean, he always had top 10 pace, but the switch has flipped for Mikovits this time, and he is doing very well in the individual standings. And as you saw there, his team in P1 on the team standings. So a great job by Kalen, kind of showing up with new determination, new pace, making stuff happen here in this season of F3. So got about 3 minutes remaining. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, Dylan. What do you think we learned there in that sprint, and what do you think we're going to see in the future here this evening?
I think there's a lot of passing opportunities, and that's kind of what we assumed going into this race, right? You were going to see some drivers maybe be a little bit more aggressive in the heat. They could afford to be more aggressive. It's not like this is going to be the main race that they're going to contend with. But we also saw the aggression kind of catch a few drivers out, and Chris Eggert was the biggest one of all. Had a few opportunities to have a comfortable top 5 day, but just kind of sent it in too hard, right? And lost control of that race car a couple of times. But at the end of the day, they get to all reset, right? They get to all reset. Track's great conditions right now. But if you mess up going into this chicane right here, like we've seen, and you get to the outside a little bit more and try to cut back, ooh, that sausage curve is going to really, really hamper your day. And that might, damage the car a bit. You never know how that car is going to kind of handle that massive jump.
Yeah, too right. And we actually have seen some aero damage at that spot in these low-slung Formula 3 cars. So it's I'm not sure if they model floor damage or not, which would definitely be a thing in the real world. But they certainly model front wing damage, and it is definitely possible to tweak some stuff out of shape out here. And let's just take a quick lap with Jason Green here. One of our front runners in the heat, and is going to be in the mix as always in the feature. So pretty long pit straight here. You got to like your opportunities to make something happen with the slipstream. It seems set up wide outside there. Wants to get a good exit right here, and this is the first test of patience right here. This uphill long carousel turn 3, it seems to take forever to open up. You had to find a marker there on the outside wall when you want to roll on the throttle, and here we go into another carousel. It is one after another here at Barcelona. This is another one that takes patience. You see a little wiggle there out of green, and here is a very, very tough spot. Hard braking, downhill, a little bit off camber right here. And here we're coming to the chicane that Dylan was talking about. You got to hit this just right. So easy to throw away a second right here as you slide right out to that anti-cut curve. We saw Eggert hit it and lose a bunch of time. You got to stay off of it, but you got to get as close to it as possible. A little back brief run down here into turn 10, a little mini straightaway. They're getting the little bit kinder version of this turn 10 than some configurations. You see that cut through right there where it's more or less a hairpin. And yet again, whoop, and green is going to disappear. But we're heading into yet another one of those carousels that really is kind of marks the character of this track here at Barcelona. But looks like warm-up has ended, and we're going to scroll our iRacing universe here and give you the starting grid for the feature here in just one moment. And bang, there it is. It is Tyrone De Silva turning that P6 into pole position for the feature. It'll line up next to Jason Green. Then it's Velasco next to Max Lotto in row 2. Josh Leslie will line up next to Stephen Case. Case is not going to be in P6 for very long, believe you me. Then it is Poborgi next to Chris Eggert. Jose Navas next to Bali. He'll get you to P10. Kalen Mikovits will line up next to Adrian Lopez in 11 and 12. Then it's Duvall next to Borden. Chris Wang next to Jason Cotcher. Grunsky will line up next to Conway. Then Corwin next to Colquhoun Dillon. Diego Posada will line up next to Guyton in 21 and 22. Then it's Enrique Vela in 23 next to David Hirsch. And, all right, I'm not sure those guys were on the grid in the last race, but if they were, go ahead and send me an Instagram in our YouTube chat, and bang, we are underway for our 25-minute sprint. And keep an eye on Stephen Case. He may try to make something happen here early, and he's already up 1 right here, and you see him sniffing around there behind Poborgi. You see Poborgi taking a deep inside line, and is that Case taking a huge dive down the inside
there's a wreck in the back.
1. Oh my goodness. And the 7-10 split back in the back there somewhere. A couple cars dropping like stones. Borden for sure. Lopez as well involved in that. We'll give you a replay of that. So this one not starting, Dylan, as clean as the last one.
No, not at all. This main race, it's going to be a longer race for drivers like Corwin and Borden. Corwin has the meatball flag, has to get back to the pits, get that car repaired. But as these drivers storm down the hill out of turn 5 and then back up it into turns 6, 7, and 8, we'll see if anyone tries to be a little aggressive, and exactly that. Oh, not again. It's Max Lotto on lap 1.
Oh my gosh, Lynn Lotto. And speaking on behalf of the Lynn Lotto fans, Dylan, I'm going to have to ask you not to point him out prior to the race next week. That is 2 in a row. Mike pointing out 100% rate of complimenting Lynn Lotto and his race turning to disaster. And that is another meatball and Lynn Lotto on the flatbed on his way back to the pit. But in the meantime, it is De Silva from Green, from Velasco, your top 3, then Leslie, Case, and Poborgi. And Case has not really made any moves yet. Everybody moved up there due to the incident involving Lynn Lotto. So you see a bunch of +1s there on the timing tower, but not a lot of contested action right there until Case is going to try Leslie on the outside into turn 1, and my goodness, there is the racecraft for which Case has become famous in these parts, as he smokes Leslie on the outside of turn 1. And here comes a replay of the kerfuffle. Oh my goodness. And that is an absolute yard sale featuring Lopez and a couple other cars, and that is no bueno.
That engine cover is waving hi to us.
Or bye.
Or by. Engine cover's still there, but it's hanging on by a thread. Yeah, that's a bit of a mess in turn 1, and I can't quite tell off those couple of angles so far who exactly is at fault there, but nonetheless, that's a mess in the back of the pack, and now we're watching with Max Lindlato, and he loses it over those curbs. Remember, we were talking about how that can get you unsettled. My goodness. Hey, we did mention, the exact possibility of this, right?
Well, yeah. Not only were you talking about Lindlato, you were talking about the danger of that curb. So not only did you curse him, you told him where it was going to happen, and it unfolded just as you predicted. Bummer for Lindlato, who obviously has the pace, but has been stationary in the pits for about 2 minutes so far, taking repairs. You see Bali right there after an incident, missing his front wing. And I got to say, after seeing a couple of these cars drive around here, missing parts of their aero package, nothing drives worse than an F3 car with no front wing. And you're seeing Bali fighting that thing right now.
Yeah, that is a race car that you really can't drive at all when you have no front wing, and even worse when that front wing is stuck right around the front axle. Not a comfortable experience whatsoever. But Jason Green in the lead of this race. Tyrone Da Silva still holding strong in behind. Stephen Case in P4 with Alex Velasco rounding out that podium. So we've got a lot of intrigue to this one. Case has obviously been the class of the field in this season and in this race so far in this event. So will he be able to make these moves? Because we really haven't seen him up until this race have to do any quote-unquote racing, right? And when I say that, I mean racecraft, right? Trying to maneuver yourself around other drivers in the field, try to defend. He was just fast. He was in clean air and he was away. But now he's not in clean air, and he's trying to see what he can do. I think he can still get the victory, but it's not going to come that easily.
Yeah, I think victory pretty likely for Case. He's got the pace, he's got the racecraft, and what he's showing you right now is he has the patience. 20 minutes remaining out here. Track temperature is still creeping up as we see Case. He's going to try the inside of turn 1 against Velasco, still side by side. And here's what I was talking about before. Velasco will have the defensive line into turn 2, but thinks better of it, lifts out of it, and is going to let Case through there. So Case moved up from P6 to P3 with about 20 minutes remaining. So Case on the podium now. And speaking of, I mentioned patience before, and Case definitely has the racecraft and has the patience. And it's worth mentioning here, Dylan, the track temps creeping up here. We're up to 115 Fahrenheit right now. And so this track, notorious for tire wear, is going to get even more so with these track temps. It's going to get greasy, and very likely that Case is driving kind of mellow right now so that he has tires at the end of the race in case he needs to make a pass in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, he is. But look at that, Josh Leslie trying to send it into the corner there to take that 4th place away from Alex Velasco, and it's kind of created a bit of a train, right? It's not just Leslie, it's also Paborgi and Christopher Eggert up into 7th, up 1 spot from the start of this race. He's looking to get a little bit aggressive, so I feel like the barn burner stuff is going to be happening between this quartet of drivers.
Yeah, too right. And I'll tell you, if you are Leslie with Paborgi behind you, there is definitely a benefit to getting past Velasco, and that is putting Velasco between you and Paborgi. And you see Paborgi pressing it right here, and Paborgi gets that outside move done into turn 1. That is your Barcelona merit badge right there is beating that inside defense with an outside move into turn one. Poborgi showing how it's done there. You saw Case do it earlier, and Poborgi now has his sights fixed on Alex Velasco, only a 0.5 gap up ahead to him. So Poborgi getting some work done out here.
Yeah, Poborgi doing a solid job and trying to hold on to the spot and also get those wheels moving to go forward once again. But Stephen Case, we'll go back to him. He is hot on the gearbox of Tyrone De Silva. Jason Green is saying, Tyrone, please be my best friend right now, because if the longer that Tyrone De Silva is able to hold back Stephen Case, the more opportunity that Jason Green is going to have to win this race. The question is, though, will it really even matter? Because we've seen the pace that Case has had so far in tonight's events. That may continue.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Jason Green looking at his relative right now and is rooting for some big defense on behalf of De Silva, and we'll see if De Silva can hang on to this P2 when we get through this early sequence here coming off of the pit straight. But Green, without a podium so far in the first 6 races, a bit surprising. Green with the highest rating in this field, 4.2 I rating. And speaking of defense, no defense there. De Silva says, plays bullfighter, says ole, and lets Case right through. So now Case just has 1.4 second gap ahead to Jason Green and P1, and 17 minutes, plenty of time left to do it. And look at Poborgi versus Alex Velasco, and these guys getting to know each other very well, with Leslie enjoying the popcorn seat. If this thing goes south, which it almost did right there, then that P4 is going to fall right to Josh Leslie. And by the way, there is Christopher Eggert sniffing around here as well. So that is Poborgi from Velasco, from Leslie, from Eggert. That is for P4, and about 0.6 of a second covering all 4 of those cars.
Yeah, my word, this is an exciting bit of action here. I wouldn't be shocked to see the elbows come out a little bit and to see the gloves drop, sticks flying all over the ice, because there's going to be a little bit of a fisticuffs here as we have some contact made. Velasco right into the back of Poborgi, opens up the door for Josh Leslie to try and compete now on the outside, and he's going to make the move work, just barely clear and up into 5th and 6th place. These two drivers are starting to continue fighting.
Yeah, some great action there. And Dylan, I'm seeing some disagreement on where the brake marker is there into turn 10. We've seen a couple of big checkups right there that cost drivers position. Saw another one right there. And Velasco not done here. Or no, that's Leslie on the inside of Velasco going into turn 1. Leslie looks like he is going to make that stick. So Leslie will move up into P5, and my goodness, here comes Eggert. Eggert wants a piece of Velasco as well, as Velasco kind of getting worked over right now. He has fallen 3 positions from his qualifying position, and yeah, part of that is that inverted grid, and that this is part of the reason that we lobbied for this Charles Bushell Memorial inverted grid here in SRG F3 to get this kind of racing going in these second races, and it has absolutely worked out 100%.
Man, you keep saying that word, 100%, those 2 words. Well, is that 2 words, or is that just a number and a word?
It might be 3.
It might be 3 words.
I'm going to say it's 3.
100% accurate.
There's the heart pajamas. Mike Braun, our producer, has found his favorite camera, and in fact, those are boxers. It looks like Guyton driving with bare legs there, and not sure how he got through tech without having fireproof pants on. But Guyton with the stones there.
You know what? I appreciate it, because JR, you and I are both sharing that vibe. Oh, there's a car in the gravel.
Yeah, somebody taking a ride through the kitty litter there. That is the yellow F3 car of Conway, and Conway had something going there, and a little bit too much curb, and my goodness, I told you want to cuddle up to him, you want to cozy up to him, maybe rub up against him a little bit, but if you get fresh with him, you're going to get slapped, and Conway takes it right into the kitty litter right there. He had been up 5. Getting his work done here in the first part of the race, and it all went out the window right there. And here is Eggert. Eggert challenging Velasco, and my goodness, Eggert has been flogging that thing. And we talk about the tire witching hour, and if Eggert is overdriving that car right now, we're going to find out here in about, I don't know, I'm going to say 8 minutes or so, somewhere with about 5 or 10 minutes left. The drivers who have been abusing their tires are going to be exposed here down the stretch. But Eggert says, to hell with that. You see Uguay right there telling him that the past is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. And Eggert trying to stuff it through. Velasco holding him off. And Mikovits now has joined this train. Mikovits wants a piece of Eggert. Eggert with his hands full here, all up and down.
I guess we're just going to ignore the face that was screaming a lap ago in that final corner from Lloyd Conway. We'll talk about it in a bit. There we go.
Is that, I'm getting a little Austin Powers vibe off of that maybe. I'm not sure who that is.
Doesn't look like Austin Powers. But there was a move that was about to be made in the turn 1. Doesn't look like there's been a swapping. Oh, maybe, look at this. Mikovits up 5 spots. How about this?
Yeah, Mikovits, as we said, showing up to play here. Did not qualify well in the heat, but slowly but surely has been picking his way forward. I think he qualified, 12th or 13th in the heat race, picked up a couple in that, and has picked up 5 in this one to put himself up into P6. And speaking of hard chargers, quick tip of the hat here to Jacob Guyton, who has moved up 10 positions from P22 up into P12, threatening the top 10. But here it comes, Stephen Case reeling in Jason Green here, and Green no slouch at all. As I said, he's sitting on a 4.2 I rating right now, highest I rating in this field, so definitely has some pace, has consistency, but now he also has Stephen Case with about 3/10 gap heading onto that pit straight with a slipstream about to give Case a nice tow. You see Green moving over there, trying to break the draft, and maybe got a little better exit. Doesn't look like Case was able to close him down much down the pit straight that time around. But again, Case plenty of time here, and Case has been an absolute paragon of patience thus far in the season. Knows he has 10 minutes left, knows that tires are going to be suffering on this red hot track here at Barcelona. So still like Case to pull this off before it's over.
Yeah, Case has 10 minutes to get it done, right? If Jason Green is able to hold him off, it would be an immeasurably impressive run for the driver with the highest I rating in this field right now. However, we're looking at about 7 minutes left, or 7 laps left, of trying to hold off Stephen Case, and that is easier said than done. These two have already broken away 2.5 seconds beyond what Tyrone De Silva is able to be running right now. But it's been just an impressive bout for those two in the top 2 positions. De Silva in that podium spot, being chased down by Paborgi, who has himself a measurable gap between he and Mikovits. But Chris Eggert is hot on the tail of Mikovits, as well as Stephen Case on Jason Green.
Yeah, the field spreading out a little bit here, a little more than I thought. You saw those practice numbers where our whole timing tower was painted from top to bottom in those short intervals, but not so, pardon me, here in the race. And here we go. Is Case going to have a crack at it this time? Watch that gap drop, and Green not really defending here. Case will have the inside line through turn 1 and gets it done through turn 2. So, gosh, I don't know. Dylan, you mentioned that gap that those two drivers had built to P3. They had over 2 seconds back to De Silva. Don't think it would have hurt Green to try a little defense there, but I guess just decided to not resist the inevitable, settle into that P2 and collect the points that come with that. Green, again, still looking for his first podium here in race 7.
Yeah, and Jason Green has given himself a great opportunity to get that podium here in this race. Let's go back to this battle. Christopher Eggert still chasing Kalen Mikovits. Mikovits with a bit of a defensive line through that small corner before this uphill chicane, and Mikovits is going to get a decent run up it. But this is an important corner to get right, and it looks like Eggert got it just a little bit more right. He's in that slipstream. Will he go deep into the corner, looking down the inside? And yeah, you can bet he's going to go a little bit deep, but so does Mikovits. Eggert, Mikovits, both of these two drivers side by side, but not for long. It's a pass, a move made by Christopher Eggert in the 2-cubed machine.
Wow, and tip of the hat to Mikovits there. That was really good work. Offline, breaking deep on the outside, trying to hold off Eggert there. Really, really good stuff, but just could not resist Eggert in that classic IndyCar Valvoline livery. But he may have a crack back as you watch that gap plummeting as we roll down the pit straight. Mikovits going to take a breath here and maybe try to hang with Eggert, set something up on the next lap, but running out of time. About 7 minutes remaining in this one. Dylan mentioned the number of laps, and oh my gosh, there is Chris Wang. That's the second time we've seen him off, and let's see what happens here. Maybe a little early on the throttle, and keeps it out of the wall. But as I said, Barcelona, a game of patience. You want to get on the throttle as early as possible, but a little bit too early there for Wang as he executes that 27-point turn there to get that car out of the kitty litter. And that is going to hurt. That's going to drop Wang to P16, only down 1. So Wang had gotten some work done leading up to that moment, and that really cost him.
Yeah, unfortunate for Wang right there. When it's such a, even though it's a feature race, right? It's such a short race, so one mistake will almost certainly ruin the rest of your event. As we look back, this battle for 13th, a quartet of drivers all competing for it. Grunski, Posada, Cotcher and Dillon, and of course Christopher Wang, who is actually 4 seconds back. So I apologize. It's Grunski, Posada, Dillon, and it's still Wang. No, that's a lapped car. There we go, Adam Duvall. I was confused for a brief moment. I'm like, wait a second. The timing board does not show 4 cars within that distance. That is a lapped car in there somewhere. But Posada is chasing Grunski, and behind is Cotcher and Dillon, who is dealing with that lap traffic at the moment.
Yeah, and that's one of a couple of action spots way down on the grid there, fighting for P13. Another little train, Wang from Bali, from Corwin, from Lopez, and those cars fighting for P16. And Mike's going to flip us over to that. We saw Wang have that little off, so Wang might be driving it a little bit nervous right now. Bali trying to reel him in down the front straight, and yeah, the field fairly spread out now, except for this little bit of fight going on for P16. We'll stay with this for a minute here and see if Wang can hold off the pressure. Again, it's Bali, Corwin, and Lopez there, and all those cars separated by, gosh, less than a second.
Oh, look at that. Almost some contact right there as Bali just skirts on by, but there are 3 drivers still trying to kind of settle it out as we see a puff of gravel right in the background. Wang almost loses it again, but still tries to go side by side, but the moment is over for him right there. Let's take a look back at the replay. Oh, there we go. Christopher Wang almost into the wall right there. Just a miserable day. We're going to get the replay right here, way wide, way up into that runoff area. He collects it. What is he? Okay.
Yeah, Wang going wide there and getting camera shy there, just as we were talking about him. Blows that corner, goes wide, and picks up a slowdown. And that combination of mishaps by Wang there cost him 3 positions. He had been leading that 4-car train. Now he's all the way at the back of it, running in P19. So now it's Bali holding that P16 from Corwin, from Lopez. Wang still there, but you got to think that his tires have had about enough of his nonsense, although he'll try the outside of turn 1, and his tires are going to respond with a hard negative.
Well, we were talking about, you've mentioned the witching hours, right? Track temperature, 113 degrees Fahrenheit as Velasco goes for a move down the inside of Jose Navas. Navas is now going to be on the inside right here. They are side by side, equal on those axles, and way deep into the corner goes Navas, tries to cut off Velasco when he tries the switchback. Does a very admirable job at that, and he gets the position. Solid racing.
Yeah, some nice work there by both drivers. These gentlemen both very well familiar with one another. They race together in F4 and part of this great Sim Racers Group community. And I haven't mentioned it in a while, but Sim Racers Group is actually a brick and mortar facility in east side of San Jose, right off of the 101, just south of the 680 interchange, and they've got about 12 high-quality sim rigs down there. If you want to stop by, you'll be greeted by some very friendly and enthusiastic sim racers if you want to experiment and learn what it's like to do some laps in a sweet rig surrounded by a bunch of friends. It's a great setup that they have down there. But yeah, Navas and Velasco very well familiar with each other. You see the trust and the respect right there as they manage to run side by side, fighting hard, but fighting fair, fighting clean. And that's the kind of competition that we've grown accustomed to covering these Sim Racers Group races. And tip of the hat to both of these gentlemen as well.
They'll accept that after this race is over, because goodness me, these two are fighting hard right here. And I feel like we haven't seen the fireworks necessarily go off between them yet.
Yeah, and a little bit of time left here, and not sure where Case is. Yeah, Case just crossing the line right now, so Stephen Case will see the white flag waved right now, and my goodness, look how he has driven off from Jason Green's, put over 3 seconds on him right now, and back to this fight between Velasco and Navas. Velasco ahead right now. That is for P9, and Velasco looks like he's stretching it out just a little bit here. And you might expect to see some kind of action and contested entry into turn 1, but Velasco has gotten a better exit out of that last corner under the pit straight and stretched that gap out pretty well here. That doesn't mean that Navas is going to give up, because he most certainly won't. Oh my goodness. And Posada just got crushed from behind there. That might have been Josh Corwin. That completely, oh my gosh, not really sure what happened there. We'll take another look at it, and here we are coming onto the pit straight, and maybe just not hitting the brakes or misjudging the speed on entry right there. And I guess we should mention, Dylan, certainly not our job to steward these races, but stewarding has been added to these F3 races, and stewards obviously going to be taking a look at that as that Hamilton
without a rear wing.
That Hamilton liveried F3 car being driven by Posada definitely has seen better days.
Yeah, he's taking himself back. But anyway, hey, look at this, Stephen Case.
Yeah, Case has driven off. He's worked his way up from P6 to cross the line in P2. Jason Green will get his first podium of the season coming across in P2. And let me look at my notes here. De Silva gets his first podium as well. So I'll tell you, that is something else that the Charles Bochel commemorative inverted grid has done. It has mixed up the podium, and I would say, gosh, probably 10 or 12 drivers have gotten the opportunity to be on the podium here this season in F3, and we have seen some really exciting racing up front as we saw tonight. But Case did as Case does, moves up 5 and captures that P1 by a gaudy 4 seconds. Here comes Jacob Guyton across the line. He's our hard charger, plus 10. He'll be followed by Grunsky, Bali, Lopez as the back of the field comes through. And my gosh, Posada unable to finish. Makes it all the way to the last lap. Gets creamed from behind by Corwin, who is also in the pit. So heartbreaking for those two. We saw Lynn Lotto have his problem. Hirsch and Vela, I'm not sure, took the start. I don't think they did. But my goodness, a little rough and tumble here at Barcelona. Those stewards definitely going to have a few incidents here to review as things got a little bit messy in the future. But here come Case, Green, and De Silva coming around for the last time. They're going to give us a nice photo op at start-finish here, as is customary in Sim Racers Group F3. And once we get a look at that, get a look at Steve and Case doing a few donuts for us, we'll take a peek out in the green room and see who is waiting to chat with us this evening.
That was a very intriguing race. Even though we kind of assumed that Stephen Case was going to be flying through, Jason Green did a solid job of keeping him behind. Excited for Jason, though, that he does get that first podium of his season. Tyrone De Silva, a really solid run there. Almost got up into P2, or at least could have competed for P2. And look at that. A little confused on where to get everybody to pose for the picture. Oh, who is that coming down the inside near the pit wall?
Yeah, and you got to be a little bit careful here. I'd hate to see iRacing pull out a DQ for going the wrong way on track. But Case is going to roll the dice here as he backs up to start finish. And we'll see if his competitors, yeah, there's Jason Green. Here comes De Silva as well. An excellent backwards driver, and that's going to cost Case a nose. So, that kind of sums up the action here at Barcelona. It's been a little comically messy at points, and there is your podium glamour shot with Case's nose section laying on the tarmac there. But another great race. Let's go ahead, Mike, as the donuts are underway here, and get up your final results for you. And there they are. Let me scroll those up a touch, perhaps. There we go. So Stephen Case from Jason Green, from Tyrone De Silva, and I misspoke. De Silva, I got a P2 at the bend, so second podium for him. Then it's Danush Baborji, Chris Eggert, Mikovits there, definitely game up 5 to finish in P6. Then it's Leslie, Cotcher, Velasco, and Jose Navas. Dylan will get you through the top 10.
And, of course, Lloyd Conway with the, not Austin Powers, but Austin Powers look-alike face on the front. Finishes in 11th, Jacob Guyton in the boxers, just like JR and myself, finishes in 12th. Igor Grunsky in 13th, Varun Bali in 14th, Adrian Lopez, Christopher Wang, Coker and Dillon, David Borden, that's your top 18. Diego Posada finishes a lap down, as does Joshua Corwin and Adam Duvall. Max Linlato, another unfortunate race with a lot of potential for him. Finishes 22nd, Enrique Vela and David Hirsch rounds out your 24-car field.
And Lynn Lotto fans, fear not. We will impose a moratorium on Dylan Coyle mentioning your driver's name during the next broadcast to see if he can shake off this run of bad luck and commentators' curse that he's been suffering from. And looking out in the interview area, I'm only seeing the captain, Jason Cotcher. So we'll go ahead and pull him in. Jason, you had the hard charger within reach. Guyton actually got it, moving up 10 positions into P12, but your +8 is the hard charger in the top 10. So put together a pretty good drive here at Barcelona on a very hot track. So how was the racing out there from your seat today?
Yeah, hey guys, happy Wednesday. I asked the interview, or the podium rather, to come in and interview, so they're probably doing donuts on the front straightaway right now. Well deserved. It was hot out there. We had started at 112 and went to 114. I'm really starting to get the hang of sensitivity to tires sliding. I had a shaggy sprint race, dodged some bullets, fortunately, on the start of the feet. I do like this circuit, but I don't seem to get regularly the results here that I would like. So this is a good one. Anytime in this group you can get a top 10, that's something to celebrate.
Yeah, and Barcelona, tougher than it looks. We're accustomed to seeing some pretty tight intervals, especially at the front end of the field. But everyone kind of drove away, turned into a track day for a lot of drivers. And you'll enjoy the broadcast, Jason. As you were talking about that evasive move into turn one, we were showing it in slow motion while you were describing it. So you'll enjoy checking that out. But let's see what. We're going to go down to the streets of Miami next week, which is going to be an interesting one. That is a course that a lot of these drivers probably have never driven on before, a very difficult course, and frankly, one that a lot of people complain about. Even F1 drivers complain about driving on the streets of Miami. So have you had a chance to put any laps down there yet? And do you have any thoughts about what that race is going to have to offer?
Yeah, the real quick to the start of the race, it was slow motion for me too. The adrenaline gets pumping, man. There's the flaming barrels, as my friend JR likes to say. Miami, yeah, when that's fun to see that come out, and Adelaide 2 together in this most recent build. And during that week 13, I was playing with it quite a bit actually. And what surprised me was the elevation about halfway around through that chicane. It doesn't look like much on TV. It looks like, a little rise, a little dip or whatever. But when you're sitting that low, it does in Formula cars anyway. It does play a role in sight lines and visibility through there. So it is actually quite tricky. Yeah, well, first time SRG will be there. I typically enjoy street circuits. I like Long Beach. Adelaide was super fun. I had a huge crash there week 13, which some of the community guys were having a laugh about. But hopefully a clean race. When you get the walls, a couple of guys bounce here or there. That's bowling alley stuff. I mean, there's nowhere for them to go. So hoping, the worst case scenario, I don't want to jinx it, but second or third place touch, and there's 30 guys and girls trying to get through there. Lap one has the potential to be a big problem. So hopefully we can avoid that and do better in the early corners there than we did today, but should be exciting. Tune in.
Well, I'll tell you, got some solid leadership there at SRG. So I like your chances of putting on another good show at Miami, and I'll certainly encourage folks to tune into that. But thanks for stopping by, Jason. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to this evening?
Yeah, happy to announce. I don't know if people have seen the newsletter, but we have partnered with the Liberty Bell Racing League. Amy Housel running the show there as a very entry, super friendly, super welcoming, female identifying series. They run once a month, mid-month Sundays with the GR 86 now. And we at SRG are huge fans of that series, thrilled to be a part of it, and we are here for them. Anything that we can do, a sounding board, some league run experience. Amy is awesome and super proud of that program and that it exists. So shout out to Liberty Bell Racing League and Amy Housel. Really excited to be partners, and we're here for them. Anything that we can do to help, and then as they learn and grow and improve, if they would like to spread their wings and get into some more competitive Formula style racing or a part of our endurance team that's had a very successful 2025 and 2026 to kick off, they are welcome to join. So always love making friends in the community. More racers is better for everybody. So tonight, shout out to them. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and thank you, Jason. And by the way, the Liberty Bell Racing League covered right here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. So we'll talk about upcoming stuff here in a moment. And actually, speaking of upcoming, let's just talk about it now. And while you're sitting there watching your phone, watching your computer, watching your smart TV, go ahead and subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting. And don't forget to hit that notification icon so that you don't miss any of the upcoming action. And we'll start with Saturday. Our Weekend Warriors Formula V racers will be fighting it out at Summit Point. On Sunday, our Warrior Spec Racer Fords will run at Oschersleben. Tuesday, join Dirk Grambusch and I for the next round of American Muscle Series from the Red Bull Ring in Austria. That one is going to be fantastic. And as we said, 1 week from tonight, more F3 action from the streets of Miami. And I think that is going to wrap us up for tonight. So I am JR Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner Dylan Hundy Coyle, our producer Magic Mike Braun, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and hang in there, baby. Friday's coming.